would see in the fashion industry, the craft and DIY space ebbs and flows and has different seasons as well as sees different trends. One of the hottest trends that I'm seeing right now in the crafting space are laser machines. And they can be super confusing and overwhelming, especially when you're like, what is a diode machine? What's a CO2 machine? What does this wattage mean? I want to do this project. I don't even know what I want to do. There are a lot of questions out there. So today I'm going to answer those questions for you, as well as give you a full review of my new CO2 laser machine from xTool. It is the P2 machine, 55 watt, and this thing, I had so much fun testing it out. So let's get into it. Let's give it a test and give you my full honest whiskey review. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge thank you to xTool for sending me this machine to review for my craft buddies. I am so thankful that brands are willing to do that so I can take the time, review the machines, and give you guys recommendations. I totally understand that lasers aren't for everyone, but I know there are some craft buddies that are interested, and until now I've only been able to talk about the pros and cons of diode lasers because I haven't experienced a CO2 laser. So this is a good friend going through the paces, doing the hard work for you, so then that way if this is something that you're interested in, hopefully I can give you some recommendations and some tips, tricks, and info to help you along on your laser journey. This xTool P2 CO2 laser is a 55 watt machine. While it's marketed to all crafters, I would say it's best suited for people, 1, wanting to make a ton of projects, 2, wanting to use it to start or grow a business, and 3, somebody that wants to do translucent and clear acrylic because you can't do that on the diodes. With the 55 watts of power in this P2, it's able to cut through thick acrylic, wood, MDF, and a lot of other materials and do it more quickly. As somebody with a 10 watt diode laser already in my craft room, the speed and power of this machine, plus the ability to cut more kinds of acrylic, really piqued my interest. So the box for the P2 is big and heavy, enough so that I had to have my husband Alex help me carry it up to my second floor craft room and then place it right on my IKEA craft desk for now. But eventually this is going to go down to my basement because honestly I don't have the space for this large of a machine in my craft room all the time. So that's something to keep in mind. It was well packed and easy to unbox, but weighing in at nearly 100 pounds isn't something I'm going to be able to move on my own like I can with my diode lasers. It's a put it down and leave it sort of thing. It's not a deal breaker necessarily because most CO2s are going to be large like that, but it is worth noting. I followed both the booklet included in the box for setup as well as a video on xTool's channel, which I will link down below. It took about 25 minutes and overall it was pretty easy. With the machine in the box, you're also going to get power cables, the USB cable, exhaust hose, tools to help you assemble, the cutting bed slats, some supplies like clear acrylic and basswood, a funnel, and some antifreeze. Now, truthfully, that antifreeze threw me for a loop because I'd never seen that before and I'd never worked with this type of laser. So you're also going to need water to mix with the antifreeze, and that's not included. So you need distilled or purified water, but I was able to just use a water bottle that I had at my house. This is a crucial step before you can start operating the machine, making it like a little nerve-wracking reading everything. I was like, ooh, but thankfully it was pretty easy and it went fine. The last step is to make sure that you attach your exhaust hose, and this is crucial. You want to make sure you're properly venting any fumes with any laser when you're cutting certain things, especially acrylic. It needs to go out a window or a door, but window is definitely preferred. You can also get a smoke purifier if you're unable to go out the window, but I decided to do out the window. You can also add things on like this xTool inline duct fan, which I will talk more about later. All I had to do was plug in the power and then use the USB cord to attach it to my laptop, and I was up and running. The P2 machine itself isn't brand new, but I was so excited to hear that they were launching it in this white color. Before now, it was just available in this gray, but I absolutely love the white and it fits so well in my craft room. The first project I wanted to do was an Etsy file I purchased for Christmas that I didn't get around to using, and it was this coffee cup file. So the first thing I'm going to do is open my machine with it powered on, and I'm going to put my material right on the bed. This case, we are using a piece of plywood, and then I'm going to shut the lid. Then we're going to go over to xTool's Creative Space. You can also sometimes hear it referred to as XCS, and I'm going to connect my machine via Wi-Fi, which it already is up in the corner. I also renamed it from this xTool with a bunch of letters behind it to Whitney's P2, so I know what I'm connecting to. And then it is going to scan the material on the bed. Now, I did this after I made the first project because I was kind of playing around, but I wanted to show you how I did it. So I dragged and dropped my SVG file from Etsy right on here, and it's telling me that the red lines need to be cut and the black lines need to be scored. I just went through and deleted those because I don't need those, and then it's going to give me multiple layers, as you can see in the left-hand corner. I'm going to select all the red ones and select cut on the right, and then I'm going to select the black and hit engrave. The other thing I want to do is tell the machine what material I put in there because it doesn't know. So I'm selecting basswood plywood, and it has preloaded settings, but you can also select this precise measurement tool, click on your materials, and it's going to measure the thickness for you. It's going to be super helpful when we engrave later on in the video. And then one more quick thing before I start the process, I'm going to send this in a mystery box for our mystery box challenge later on this month. And so I decided to create this in Canva, and then I just drug the file over to fit it onto the sleeve of the cup. So it's going to engrave that on the front, and then I can insert a gift card. Once that has been selected to engrave, everything is where it needs to be, but I could move it around if I wanted to get it to fit precisely on the material, which is great because you're going to get a lot more use out of those things. I'm going to click process. You're going to make sure everything looks okay. We're going to hit start, and it's going to give you a time recommendation or suggestion or what it thinks it's going to take. Then it's going to say ready. You're going to head over to your machine, and you're going to hit the start button. When you hit start, it is going to lock the machine for safety, and it's going to go to town. It's going to engrave first, and then it's going to cut all the pieces. This is what it sounds like. This is just the regular audio off of the camera. It is decently loud. It sounds like I'm gonna take off. xTool suggests you don't leave this unattended. I don't leave any of my laser machines unattended when it's cutting. So my desk is right over there. I can do some work, but you wanna keep an eye on this because if something sparks or something is unsafe, you're right here to fix it. So I'm gonna let this thing finish up and see how my first cut with wood goes. So it estimated 30 minutes. It ended up doing it in under 20. And let's open it. Oh, nice cuts. That's beautiful. Oh yeah, that's nice. Compared to my experience with the other laser cutters that I have, the CO2, that was fast, that was accurate. And there's not a ton of like charring around the outside either. It cut and engraved everything, and then I just put it together with some glue. This is actually going to go in a box for my person that I have for the mystery box challenge, which is coming up at the end of February 23rd to be exact, so mark your calendars. Now, what I did notice is I wanted to do my first project without the inline duct fan because I wanted to see the difference. So here you are seeing a ton of smoke in here, and there's not really anything pulling it out of the machine to get it out of your house and your space, which I didn't like, especially because my craft room is up on the same floor as Finn's bedroom and our bedroom. So then I went through and attached the inline duct fan, which is an extra add-on to the machine, but I think is definitely worth it, especially if you aren't going the smoke purifier route, because I was able to just plug it in. It sucked all of the air out of the machine, and then it's going to push it out your window, which made it so much better. It didn't smell as smoky, and it just overall helped. So I will link more information about that down below if you are looking at this machine and want to add that inline duct fan. Something else you can add on to the machine is a riser bed. They also have the ability to use a conveyor, all things that I don't currently have, but there are a ton of accessories for this machine over on xTool's website. So after I attached the duct fan, I wanted to do another wood project, so I decided to make this cute little Easter tag for Finn's Easter basket, and let me tell you, the duct fan made a huge difference by getting the smoke out of my craft room. This is also a file from Etsy. I just used the text feature in Creative Space to add his name, and look at that. It is actively sucking that out and putting it out of my house, which I think is so worth it. The smoke purifier will also do that, so just FYI, keep that in mind when you're thinking about venting any laser, not just the P2. I absolutely love how the engraving looks on this. Again, not a ton of chard, and I just took some gel super glue and added the glasses that I painted with just some acrylic paint. I think this is so cute. You could definitely add acrylic glasses. I just didn't have the blue color like this, and so that is another great way to use your machine. Cut out something in wood and paint it, or you can cut out the acrylic.
I can't wait to put this on Finn's Easter basket, but I'm telling you, if you make some of these and pop them up on Facebook Marketplace, you will have moms going nuts wanting to purchase them from you because it's quick and easy and oh so adorable.
So prior to getting this xTool P2, I have only used diode lasers, which are a lot less powerful and they cannot work with translucent and clear acrylic. Some people tell you that they found fixes around it, but I've never had good luck. So CO2 lasers are what you're gonna want if you want to do clear and opaque acrylic. So I grabbed the clear acrylic that came with the machine and I got to work. The first project I wanted to tackle was a cup topper for my new Stanley cup that a friend got me for Christmas.
When I tell you I was chomping at the bit to use some of these fun acrylics, I am not joking. I've wanted to do this forever, but I haven't had a tool that allowed me to do that. This is real time. I have not sped this up, and this is cutting a bow for one of my cup toppers. It is so quick to cut acrylic. I've used acrylic on my diode lasers, but it just has taken forever and has honestly been kind of a pain, a little finicky, something that I really had to try super hard to get right. Here, it was not a question. You literally hit the button, fire it up, and it goes super, super fast. And look how clean that cut is. I was also able to do my name for some of them. I did a W for some of them, and the font I'm using here is called September. And this is another great way to add on to profits if you have a price for a blank one and then an add-on for a name. I also learned that I could use some of my Glowforge proof grade material from my Aura and cut it in my xTool, which is helpful because I got a lot of acrylic that I don't really like cutting on that machine if I'm being honest. Another round of some super glue, sticking them together, adding the initial, and these things were good to go. I love this file too that I got from Etsy. I just added in my crafty era to a disco ball because you guys know I love Taylor Swift and I thought that was so fun. Now the super glue gel, just the Dollar Tree brand, it left some of this fallout. So it's not going to bug me because it's just for me, but I need to find a better adhesive if I plan on selling it.
Those cup toppers have been selling like hotcakes, especially if you can customize them to your local area, whether that be sports teams, local high schools, teacher gifts. All of those different things, I think you could definitely make a really good profit off of those from what I've been seeing around the internet. Now, I also wanted to put this thing through its paces, so I grabbed the clear acrylic and decided to do an etched look with my Craft Buddies logo.
As part of my projects, I definitely wanted to do a test of engraving acrylic. So I decided to take my Craft Buddy logo, load it up to XCS. I decided to mirror the actual wording, so I would engrave on the back, so the front would be just the acrylic. And I also decided to add an offset and make that cut, so then that way it would cut the acrylic piece out. It took a little bit of time, but when I tell you I was so impressed with how this turned out, it looks so good. It's so fun in my craft room. I could easily paint the back of it for an acrylic sign, but this is something I will definitely be using in the future, and this definitely impressed me.
I really like the fact that this has two cameras because one is going to give you a view of the laser bed to get everything positioned where you want, but then there's also another camera that helps with the auto measure, which allowed me to engrave on the top of this jar from my craft room. It's a lot thicker than what you are seeing with those other sheets, and so I wanted to use the auto measure to engrave on here just to customize some of these. And the second camera truly helped because you can pinpoint where you want it to measure. So let me show you how I did that.
All I had to do was set my lid onto the slats, and then I drug in my Whiskey and Whit logo. I needed to do the precise measurement, so not only did the one camera do the wide shot of the base, but the second camera will slide over on the laser head and measure that thickness for you. Then that way it is going to know to raise up a little bit, because if not, it's going to come over and just like smack it. Essentially, you need to raise up the laser just enough so then that way it will hover above the lid. Now the downside here, I will say, is that there wasn't a predetermined setting for this lid because it was just something I grabbed out of my craft room, but I tried to find something as close as I could, like a cutting board. I ended up just using the 3mm pine plywood setting and then made it a user specified thickness. That ended up working good, and if you end up getting an engraving like this and you want it to be deeper, you can just up the power, and that will help engrave it a little bit lower into your material. I wanted to also share really quickly with you the difference between a diode laser and a CO2 laser. A diode laser is my xTool M1, which is smaller, a lot less expensive, and the CO2 laser is this P2 that's bigger and more expensive. Diode lasers use light and push it through a lens, and it focuses on a super narrow point to create your cutting, scoring, and engraving. While these machines last longer, they are weaker than the CO2 lasers, and they can't cut through some materials like clear acrylic and translucent acrylic, which I've been mentioning. My xTool M1 and my Glowforge Aura machines are diode lasers, and I've got reviews of both of them, so I'll link those down in the description. But if I had to pick my favorite between the xTool and the Glowforge, I would recommend the M1 just because you get so many more features for around the same price as the Aura. You also can't do any tumblers with the Aura, which you can do with the M1. And CO2 lasers like the xTool P2 use high voltage power to create infrared light. And basically, in layman's terms, that infrared light is focused in through the tube, which in this case is a 55 watt, and it goes through some mirrors and then a lens, and that, I'm not a scientist, but it makes it a lot more powerful. Because of this, they are more powerful, but they don't last as long as diodes over long periods of time, but they're not going to last you like a couple weeks. We're talking years, but it is important to note that because they're two different types of lasers, the longevity is a little bit different. Something I really like about the P2 is that these slats at the bottom slide right out. So if you get residue, which you definitely will on there, you can pull them out and just clean them with some wet wipes, or if you have something more caked on there, you can use like a light dishwashing detergent and clean them off. So that is a huge plus. You don't have to take a whole like bed out. You can just take those pieces out and clean them. Something I've shied away from before is creating a lot of small images on a diode laser just because it takes a long time. So I definitely wanted to try this on the P2 to see how quickly I could make some little Easter tokens for Finn. I created an SVG file that had all these little bunnies and then different sayings on there that we like to do together, whether that be go to Dollar Tree, spend a day with mom, $1, a new book, things like that. And then it was as easy as scoring all of the little letterings and then cutting it out. I could have engraved, but sometimes if you're okay with scoring, I would go that route because it will save you a lot of time. This is another one that I didn't mask just because I am used to not masking on my M1, and I wasn't seeing a lot of burning. If I had projects that was getting a lot of chart around the outside, then I probably would have masked the wood, which is just putting like a paper transfer tape over the top to protect it, but these were working just fine. These cut out so quick and easy, and then these are going to be perfect to go in his Easter eggs. Overall, the theme of my review of this is just the speed and power, especially when you're used to a different type of laser, and even 10 watt to 55 watt, even though it's not apples to apples, it is mind blown. I did this fun little crayon that says, look what Finn made, and Finn is in acrylic. I like the two-tone, the fact that his name is raised, and it is just the perfect addition to our fridge downstairs with all of his preschool items. This is a file without the name that I will have for you over on my blog, along with those Easter tokens, if you would like to download that for your own laser machine. Another just for fun project that I did that I wanted to share with you guys is this logo sign. I created something similar over the summer when I was messing around with my Glowforge Aura. It took forever to score on that machine, but because this one's more powerful, it did it super quick and easy. I also cut out my logo in the specific font, painted all the colors so that it would match, and glued them onto the sign. The great thing is if you don't have all of the different acrylic colors, you can paint the wood, but I plan to stock up on acrylic because I am really excited to explore that new medium. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned more about lasers, as well as the xTool P2 that is now available in this beautiful white color. All the details on the machine, the cut files, and more information linked on my blog will all be down in the description. And also be sure to leave a comment on which project was your favorite in this video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to xTool for sending me the machine to review for you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!